Trust me, you're going to want to hear this. What if your biggest competitive threat isn't another brand, but a fundamental shift in strategy that's already happening? 88% of marketing leaders agree that privacy will be a core pillar of competitive strategy in the next 2 years. The race is already on. Today, we're breaking down 3 of the biggest blind spots that destroyed brand trust and how the winners of tomorrow are avoiding the same traps. And stick around, because our number 1 story will make you rethink how even the world's most best-known brands can lose their way. Number 3 on our list, Ryanair. Despite its low budget perception, the airline became one of the most followed brands on social media. They were one of the first companies to prove that brand content could be entertaining and built a massive following, teasing passengers, trolling competitors, and turning airplanes into meme machines. Now the jokes are stale, the memes are recycled, and the customers, they're not laughing so much. Ryanair may own the loudest share of voice online, 41% of all mentions, but according to a passenger survey, they hold the lowest rating in Europe. The talking planes and the Gen Z comebacks that once felt fresh have even less appeal now that every other brand mimics their marketing style. Meanwhile, competitors are rewriting the script. Jet2 turned a single holiday jingle into a cultural moment, and EasyJet's new efforts have earned followers, while their in-flight experiences have won customers over. EasyJet's final Ibiza Boss was a viral trend that actually fit their branding, and their in-flight offering is viewed as superior by customers, earning both love and loyalty. The lesson: followers don't equal trust. Although Ryanair is still chasing memes, Jet2 and EasyJet are winning customers with their experience. Proof that trust in your brand is your most valuable asset, and that is nothing to snark at. Trust isn't just an issue for social media and advertising. Sometimes trust issues arise when they happen in the networks, apps, and websites people rely on the most. SK Telecom, South Korea's leading telecom company, just got hit with one of the largest privacy fines in the country's history. The Personal Information Protection Commission fined them the equivalent of $97 million after the personal data of 23 million people was exposed in mobile communication networks and systems. We're not just talking about emails here. We're talking about SIM authentication keys, subscriber IDs, and mobile numbers. In other words, the digital DNA of your phone. With that, attackers could duplicate SIMs, impersonate users, and hijack accounts. So what went wrong? The regulators laid it out. They stored nearly 5,000 server IDs and over 26 million SIM keys in plain text. SK Telecom left critical systems exposed by running unsegmented networks. They failed to patch vulnerabilities or maintain antivirus protections. And to top it off, they delayed notifying customers well beyond the 72-hour legal requirement. This wasn't just a breach, it was a governance failure, and that's why regulators came down so hard. The lesson for marketers: privacy isn't just a compliance box to tick. It's infrastructure, it's brand trust. And if you neglect it, the fallout doesn't just hit IT, it hits your reputation, your revenue, and your right to operate. To prove it, we've brought in Adelina, Usercentrics CMO. Adelina, how big is this shift that we're seeing from privacy as a chore to privacy as a strategy?
So first, let me drop some stats. We've recently done a survey with The Drum, which is a reputable media for marketers. At 52% of the senior marketers that we surveyed said that consumer trust is extremely important to their marketing strategy. What does even mean consumer trust, right? Like, first of all, we can go back to the principles of branding. Branding is, first of all, consistency. Second of all is be very clear about your values and stand to those values, which is some things you already mentioned in the stories before in the show. But now, because we do more and more things online, there is a transactional relationship that happens online. And part of this trust is also how do you interact with the consumers, and especially how do you respect their data privacy, their preferences, how do you build personalization, community, and all these things. So a part of this is one of the main elements of it. Another stat that came up in the survey is that 77% said privacy improvements actually boosted performance in the last year. So it's exactly what I was mentioning around how do you respect data privacy. And I think we have lots of big examples in the world, like Apple and all these things, right? Where you can see that that can actually drive sales. It's really a factor that we see it more and more, and this is just one stats of the many. And if we look into the future, because we also asked that, like what do they expect? 88% of the senior marketers agree that privacy will be a core pillar of competitive strategy within the next 2 years. So these are important signals, not only from consumers demanding this and showing that, you know, they buy more, subscribe more if there is trust, but now marketers really embracing that and understanding that to build trust, data privacy is one key element of that, and is becoming strategic rather than, how did you call it? A chore, yeah. So I think there's a lot that marketers are now undertaking in their plates and like putting all these things together, but tackling it in a strategic way.
Yeah, and 88%, that's a big number, and they're saying that it's important within the next 2 years. Do you think enough people are thinking about it and actually actioning that into their strategy, or is it a little bit too vague at the moment?
I think we're still at the beginning of the maturity curve. It's for the first time that marketers really take control over this internally in their companies. You know, before it was more like just trying to comply, maybe sometimes pushed into it, but now they're like realizing, okay, this is important, this will drive sales. How do I think of my data strategy, user experience strategy with regards to also consented data and so on? Very few have made advancements, and I think they are leading the pack, but we are seeing like more and more interest in this topic, and this is where marketers learn from each other, try to develop. There is more and more technologies as well for this, but the interest is definitely there. And why? Because they saw the value of this. It actually drives business performance, and it's not just a compliance checkbox or a nice to have.
It's a true strategic advantage, and if people do it early, they're going to rise above the rest. Super interesting and super important. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And if you like this conversation, be sure to subscribe. On our channel, we've got loads of interesting conversations, especially the last episode, The Trust Gap That's Costing You Millions. Take a look. Now, number 1 on our list, Nike, one of the world's most well-known brands. By 2024, profits had collapsed 44%, sales were down 10%, and for the first time in decades, Nike felt stale. Let's talk about why, so you don't make the same mistake. Brands are in the business of creating intangible value, belief, belonging, a community around culture. But when you stop showing up in new and relevant ways, your community doesn't just wait around, it goes elsewhere. And that's exactly what happened to Nike. Look at the data. In 2023, 88% of retailers said Nike was the most popular back-to-school brand. By 2025, just 38%. And it wasn't because the shoes had gotten worse, it's just because the story got old. Nike leaned too hard on retro hits like Jordans, Dunks, Air Force Ones, and bet big on direct-to-consumer sales. In the process, they walked away from wholesale partners and lost focus of their main demographics and key communities. And guess who stepped in instead? On, Hoka, Adidas, New Balance, and young consumers they noticed. Piper Sandler's teen survey still ranks Nike number 1, but its lead is slipping fast, especially among women. In resale, Jordans and Dunks lost as much as 50% of their value, a clear sign the hype machine is spluttering. So, what's the fix? Nike knows it's in trouble. They just swapped in 30-year-old veteran Elliot Hill as the CEO. They launched a new campaign that updates its Just Do It slogan to Why Do It in an effort to connect with young audience. The new ad, narrated by Tyler the Creator and starring Vinny Jr. and LeBron James, is a bold move away from one of the most well-known taglines in history. Will the gamble pay off? It's too early to say. We all know that good brand building takes time. So the lesson from Nike is this: even the strongest brands can become stale if they stop innovating for their community. And when the community goes, trust goes with it. Don't take my word for it, the data speaks for itself. So there you have it, 3 of the biggest trust lessons in modern marketing. Ryanair proved that attention doesn't equal trust. SK Telecom showed that when privacy protections and security fails, customers' faith collapses. And Nike reminds us that even the most well-known brands can still lose their footing. Because people don't inherently trust businesses, they trust results. And through actions and focus on customer needs, businesses can make trust their most valuable competitive advantage of all. Thanks for watching the Privacy-Led Marketing Show. Don't forget to subscribe and to watch our previous shows on the channel. We'll see you next time.